Hello, guys. Today I'm going to be doing another session of Talk It Out. And this session is a little serious in that I'm going to discussing with my guest uh, the many faces of loss. And this is going to include divorce and death and all the other types of loss that we all experience in our lives. Um, I really hope that this will help some individuals who maybe may have experienced these types of losses to kind of get a better understanding and also realize that they're not alone and that it is possible that for us to get past this loss, right? Because sometimes when we're going through the loss, we don't feel like we can go through it. But you see, these ladies have gone through it and they came out the other side. And so the purpose of this Zoom segment to discuss the different types of losses is really to just give you some kind of some face to that the losses that people suffer, right? And also for them to share their experiences. Now they're going to become very vulnerable, and I thank them so much for being on this segment to speak about their personal losses and how they experienced it and went through the process. All right, guys. So now I'm going to ask each of my guests to introduce themselves. Joan, can you start with me?
Hi, everybody. My name is Joan Collins Ricketts. Christine and I went to school. We both did our PhD in family therapy. Um, Mother of two sons, couple of nephews that claim me as mom, and three grandchildren. Um, I'm going to be talking mostly about the loss of a marriage, and more so the loss of a marriage in your mid years. So, you plan for till death do us part, and you're in your 50s and it's over. So that's basically what I'm going to touch on today. However, some of the other things that Christine talked about, I can still apply to me, loss of a job or no job and all that stuff. And they're all losses. So that's what I'm going to share today.
Okay. So Paula, continue for me.
Yeah, hi, I'm Paulette Smalling. I have two adult children. One was 32 yesterday and another 21. And by profession, I'm a nurse practitioner and I completely love my job. I like to deliver healthcare to patients. That's the thing I know how to do. So, and I'll be talking about losses as pertaining to, death is very difficult. Even now, just thinking about it, you know, it's a little difficult time, but, I'll get through it. And I'll be happy to share
You know,
with
I did
you.
say you guys should bring your tissue because I know that there might be some parts that you might want to, a little tear might well up whether or not you might even expect it to, right? So I know I have my box of tissue right here, so I'm good. But I hope that you guys have
I have my blanket.
something. Shronia, can you introduce yourself for me, sweetie?
Hi, my name is Tronia. I live in Tamarack, Florida. I am a widow. I became a widow March 30th, 2017. I'm a mother of two. The best part of my loss, even though he's gone, is that he left me those two wonderful souvenirs, Sarah and Chris.
Ah, awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you guys for sharing a little bit about yourselves. And the first thing the first question I want to ask is a question I normally ask on these Zoom sessions because it gives such a wide reach as to what is one word? What is one word that you could use to just describe this process of loss that you went through? Joan,
Depression.
depression. Paula, can you say? Wait a second. Could you speak to why that is so? Why you said that word? Why you use that? What that word is relevant for you?
That because going through all the different steps, of loss, the Kubler-Ross, denial, pain. Well, we add pain and fear in with the divorce, loss of divorce, anger, bargaining, guilt, depression. But for me, the largest part of it was depression, which came after the pain and fear. And it has taken a long time, because there are even times when something happens and I remember some part of my life prior to divorce, and it hits me at least for a moment. So that has been the most long-standing emotion of everything I've been through.
So
Emotionally, that is.
So would you say that you're still working through that process?
Yes, because, for example, I'll be watching TV and I see two elderly people, a couple walking, and it just hits me. That was supposed to be me.
Right.
That was supposed to be me and my husband.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be living with my kids at this age. I'm supposed to be out there with my husband, planning for the grandkids to come visit us, or which kid are we gonna visit for which holiday. So it still hits, especially considering I had been the same person since 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
And the divorce occurred, I can't remember the exact age, because so many things run into one another and you can't remember which happened when and what date or year or whatever. And divorcing in your 50s when you've been with somebody since you were 17, you've been with this person longer than you've been with your mother or your parents.
Right.
That does, yeah.
So thanks for sharing, Joan. Paulette, would you share what the one word that could describe your going through these different process? And I know they were different because
Yeah.
guys, I want to share with you that Paulette has lost a husband, she's lost a close brother, and she's lost her mom just fairly recently, maybe less than a year, right?
Yeah.
Less than a year.
About a year.
So,
Mhm.
and so she's
Yeah.
gone through many different types of losses. So can you describe for me, Paulette, what word you would use?
Um, the word that keeps coming to mind is impactful. No matter, okay, I've experienced sudden loss. That's my brother. And the others, actually, I was a caretaker for my mother who passed away. I was a caretaker for my father too, who passed away. And what other have I experienced? Mother, father, brother, oh, husband. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was also the caretaker. And, they happened over a period of time. But no matter how you think you're prepared, when the finality of it is that I've, working in the medical field, I see people die every day. It's like, routine, you feel for them, but, it's another stage. They go on to another stage.
Right.
But when it's your family or your close, your loved one, in the case of my husband, I took care of him and I was prepared for him to go. But when they called me and said he's gone, the first thing that came out of my mouth is how? Of course,
Even,
silly. I know how.
even though you expected it, even though you
I-
expected it, but when
Even
it,
though I was expected it, but just to hear the word
yes.
gone, he's gone. I say, gone where?
Oh,
Yeah. And yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it does leave an impact. And in the case of my brother who went suddenly,
Yes.
yes, if you look at it in different ways, the people who hang around and they're suffering because of a long illness, you still want them here. but I don't know how good it is for them, to be suffering. And then in the case of my brother who died suddenly, without a chance to say goodbye, it does leave an impact, a lasting impact.
So I see Tronia is having a problem. I don't think, Tronia, can you hear me? Can't hear me. So I see Tronia is having a problem. Let me see. I don't know. Can you hear me now, Tronia? Because the phone, I don't know what happened. Log out, just 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Technology. So what I wanted to, Tronia is going to log out and log back in to see if that, because all of these things are, yeah. So what we're going to do is wait for her to see. I don't know what's going on. You guys see what's going on? Oh my goodness.
I can hear you.
Hear me, but I can't see you.
But I can't see you. So I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Okay, so I guess we just have to. So what Paulette said was that she's kind of given an example of all three of her losses, and the thing that stood out to me about what Paulette said was that even though she knew she took care of her husband, but even though she knew that he was going to go, it was, he was on his way out, and he was going to pass. When that news actually came, it was like, it was a shock to her that gone where? And she says, gone where? I can totally understand that, right? And so admitted her again. I don't know if it will go on. I don't know what's going on with Tronia. Anyway, but the other thing that stood out to me was also when you said that they're gone, but the fact that, if they were around and still suffering, then that would be more painful for her to see them suffering, because she knows they're in pain and suffering. So in a way, mute, Tronia, mute your thing until you fix it, because there's a lot of noise coming through. So Paul, the fact that Paulette was able to change her mindset around that, the loss, the mindset around her loss. That's what she did. When she thought that the fact that her, they were in pain, and even though it was a loss for her, she felt it was better off for them to go, even though it was painful to let them go. But that was just how, because she chose the mindset to see that thing through. And that's what allowed her to really be able to kind of understand, that her loved ones passing. So thanks, Paulette, for sharing that. And Tronia, can you hear me? Tronia, mute, turn on your audio.
The test run worked perfectly.
I know.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Right. So, all right. So, Tronia, can you share the one word that you thought might have, is it one word that you thought could describe your experience with the passing of your husband?
Surreal. It was like surreal. It's like
Real?
surreal. It's
Surreal.
It's like, there was a lot of things when it happened that was a blur, because it wasn't really like an out of a body moment, but there's a lot of things that I do not recall that happened. That, it's like, well, how did this come about? So if it wasn't for God and some friends, and it just seemed as if it was me out of a body, and what is going on here? It was just, I was the one that was supposed to go first. But yeah, it was surreal.
Why did you believe that? You were the one.
Well, number one, he was a favorite parent. So, he was a favorite parent. And I'm 2 years older.
Yes.
And, he was younger. You think youth? Okay. I'm going to get me a man that's younger. But, I thought I would. And like, he's the favorite parent. And the kids got along real. I mean, he could speak their language. I mean, they got him, and he got them, So yeah, I felt guilt, that I was the one that did not die. I felt guilt. I went through a lot of the guilt.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, that surreal, that out of body experience that you felt was really your way of protecting yourself, because the grief was so much. That is what it was.
And the scary thing sometimes, Christine, I know at one point I'm a crash, because, I lost my dad in 2015. So I think I haven't really crashed about my dad. I haven't really crashed about Jeff. Now I have moments where I start getting teary-eyed, or I start getting sad, or I start recalling something, and, but I haven't had that moment where people like just flood of tears. Even at his wake, I didn't have that flood of tears. So then I was thinking, well, maybe something's wrong with me. You know what I mean? I haven't had that snap thing. Oh my God, I'm crying. And, I have those sad moments where I might think of something and cry happy tears of memory. But I haven't had that thing where it's like, I know he's gone, but I haven't had that flood of.
Yeah. And you haven't had it up to this moment? You still haven't had it?
Well, I did when I took apart that king size bed upstairs. That's when I had my losing moment. I tore apart the king size bed, because he won't ever be in that bed again. I told my son, it's like, I'm okay, Mom. Mama's just having a moment. And I think that could have been when I kind of crashed, but it wasn't the tears. It was the anger. Like, how can you die before me type thing.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Now I'm going to start crying, because I'm starting to tear up, right?
Sorry.
But thank you so much for sharing that, your story, because so many people suffer in different ways. And the fact that you said you didn't, your most powerful emotion that you had was anger. It was depression for Joan. And for Paulette, I can't remember exactly what you said the feeling was, but it was almost like,
Well, I said it left an impact, on me, their passing.
Yeah.
So the whole experience was impactful.
So that impact, would you say that impact kind of now helps you to see things a little differently? After losing so many people that you love.
I wouldn't say it made me feel any differently. I mean, I dealt with it at the time.
Maybe if I gave you an example, differently in terms of, life is so fickle. A person that you love could be here today and gone tomorrow.
Right.
Did that give you like a kind of a different outlook on life, that maybe,
Okay. Yeah, with experiencing losses, it definitely make me look at the world, look at life a little differently, not take things for granted so much. Because a loss could be someone, it could be, a functioning part of your body is not working. I remember my mother couldn't see for a while before she passed away. She was blind.
Right.
So now I find myself admiring details in the world, looking at flowers, looking at a little ant going by and busy doing its little thing. I try to find, things in the world to admire and don't take things for granted. People, friends, um, I try not to take them for granted.
Right.
Makes me slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Slow down and smell the roses. Can I take the
Yeah.
time to kind of really just
Mhm.
enjoy
Yeah.
and really the present, because we have a tendency to live our lives either in the past or in the future. We're thinking about what happened, right? And what, all we're focused on what happened, or we're focused on what is going to happen. And so we don't take the time to really just sit right here with ourselves. And so what Paulette is saying is that basically those losses have kind of taught her to just take the time to really, be in the future, just be in the present, and really just enjoy the little ants crawling and doing their thing. And because I do that too, I look outside and I see the animals and I'm watching them, and I'm even talking to them.
Yeah.
I'm even talking to them. I mean, sometimes I go outside and there's a lizard sitting on my thing. And I'm going, "You paying rent in here?" Yeah, I talk to things so people can. So if that makes me crazy, then I am batshit crazy. So, but seriously though, I'm walking up the street and I'm looking at all, everything. I'm looking at nature. I'm really taking it in and admiring it. And I remember I was with somebody once and I was driving, because I do this all the time. I look at things and nature and stuff, and I'm looking at the birds just kind of doing their thing in the sky. And I said, look at that. It was like, what? It was like nothing to them. It was like nothing to them. But
Yeah.
for me, it was so special to see the birds doing their little dance in the sky. And, for me, it was so special. So, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted, and the fact that your mom couldn't see, that she missed seeing all those beautiful things that we all take so much, for granted. Little things, but little things can mean a lot when you lose it, And so, so can you speak on how maybe these experiences have changed your perspective on life, on how, just life, on maybe the people that you are with or whatever it is, how has it changed your perspective on life? Anybody can really, go ahead. Who wants to start? John?
I'll go. Well,
Sure.
for me, and because of my father was a minister, and we were always told, just as sure as you were born, you were going to die. So my thing always was give a person, and I live by this, give a person their flowers while they are alive.
Live.
Let them know, hey, I appreciate you. You did this. Make them a meal. Oh, thank you for making me that curry chicken and rice. Oh, that orchid you gave me, here you go. Thank you. You have to, because they can't read your mind when
Right.
they're gone. They can't hear, oh, well, I missed those times that we had together, whatnot. You do it now, because again, tomorrow is not promised to any of us.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yes.
Try to.
Thanks, Ronia. Anybody else?
I agree with Tranya. My motto really is give me my flowers while I'm still here.
Yeah.
Don't come crying and mourning and screaming, what I'm saying, what you should have done for Mom or for Joan when she was alive. Do it now. Let me know that you care about me now. Because when I'm dead, the dead know not anything.
Right.
So, I'm not gonna know.
When you're dead,
So I'd rather get my flowers now. And I am that way with friends, family, whoever. I give them their kudos now. Right now, I am dealing with the potential passing of my mother. She had renal failure, was on dialysis for 8 years. then got a kidney transplant, but now she's at the place where those kidneys aren't functioning based on her blood work, aren't functioning as they should. And so they've given her two choices: go back on dialysis, which is an absolute no, or go into hospice. So that's something I'm dealing with now. And I always have been the one in the family that gives to my mother. She has cards, she has little booklets from the time I was a child, and she still has them.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm looking to make a copy of my dissertation, not my dissertation, my degree, and give it to her, frame it and give it to her, because I don't want to wait until she's gone. And then I say, I promised and I didn't do that.
Right.
So, it's difficult.
Yeah. And it's as you say, give the people that you love what you want to give them now. Don't
Now.
wait until something happens and there's no way you can even speak to them, talk to them, or connect with them. If there's a problem with what they're doing, then say to them no and resolve it, right? Say to them no and try and resolve that relationship, because as you say, when that person is gone, there's nothing else you can do. And this is when you see a lot of people with a lot of guilt. And when I say guilt, I mean guilt of not being there for the person. And they're the ones who usually take a longer time to get past these issues, because the person is no longer there to resolve that. The person is no longer there to resolve that. But someone who I know that Paulette is, oh my goodness. And I mean, Paulette is my friend, right? Paulette, she takes care of everyone. All right. She's just that kind of person. I remember Paulette taking care of someone. She did not know. I think it was a co-worker, a little African lady.
Yeah.
She's from Africa. She was from Africa, and
She
Paulette
was in the Congo, yeah.
was from the Congo. And Paulette, she had no family here, and she found out that she was going to die. And Paulette was the one who went there at the hospital, took care of her, was there laying with her until she died. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I crawled up in bed with her.
She crawled on the bed with the lady who she does not really it's not her family.
Yeah.
This woman is
special.
She is special.
Right? Special place in heaven for her.
Yes.
Well, thank you. But I guess because I try to give back, because there's so many people who've been there for me, you don't know until you're in trouble when
yes.
That's
the truth.
Gather around you, and the people who you didn't think cared for you, come true for you.
Matter of fact, I have found in life that the people who you had no idea would be the ones to step up for you are the ones who stepped up for you. That's what I've found so far in my life. Very rarely do you have the people who say they are going to do this, say, and they talk a lot, but
right,
it's time for action. They're nowhere to be found.
It's like you got a lot of friends, but little people,
Exactly. I mean, I remember when I was moving, Tronia took a day off from work to help me clean up and move and be with my crazy self, trying to move all this stuff. I mean, who hell does it? And it is not even like we were so tight, close. We talked at work and we were good. We communicated, but it wasn't like we were like tight friends. They have someone as my best friend. But Tronia took the day off to help me pack and move, and she was there for me in all that mess. So it's good to have good people around you. It is good, that is something. What you so think there is important is that you celebrate them now. You celebrate the good people in your life now, because tomorrow is not promised. So we went on a little tangent right there, but it's something that needs to be said. Did I go to did I ask Joan? Did I ask you after I asked Paulette?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If there is one thing that you learned through this whole process of loss and going through the whole process of loss, is there something that you learned in your experience that you may be able to share with somebody else who may be going through similar types of losses as you have? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, about loss, something that I learned that I needed to know as a wife who didn't really handle the finance.
Yes.
That what I wish I would have had more conversations with my husband as far as, you know, okay, how much is our mortgage? Who do we pay the mortgage and stuff to? What are some of the bank codes that I need to know?
Yeah.
Even though he had a book, a ledger, it's like, you know, I need to know some of the things. I never had to handle it. He handled it. And I remember one time he was in the hospital. My mother was there with me, and she would be there all the time with him when I couldn't be there because I'm running late. So I said, Mom, I got to get like the passcode from Jeff. I got to get the code because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And I said, I got to get it. I got to get it. And she goes, okay, did you get it yet? It's like, no, next day, just get no. So one moment, like one day, I spent nothing but trying to get it. And she basically said, I said, Mom, I had got the codes from him. He goes, well, what? She goes, what did you do to get it from him? I said, I aggravated the hell out of him until he had nothing to do but to find his inner self where he could think and whatnot. And I aggravated him so much until he was able to give me the codes, and I'm there writing it down. So I wish I would have known more about what goes on in the finances, because, you know, sometimes, you know, with the spouse, whether some women handle the finance, sometimes male, but
Yeah.
it should be a group effort, because when things happen that you need to know.
Yes.
Same thing with the children. I would have to make notes and stuff for him so he knows what's going on with the children, doctors or whatnot. So I wish we would have had more conversations, and I wish he would have told me, or I would have allowed him to tell me some of the things when he was trying to tell me. I wish I would have paid more attention to.
Yes. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I had that experience too when I had my divorce. My ex used to take care of all the finances. So, and I really wasn't interested. I don't like numbers. I don't like to deal with that kind of stuff. And then, of course, when everything came to thing, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? You know? So basically it is really important. That's a good thing. And I'll tell you something. The other day I went to file my taxes, right? And the person was running late in with my appointment, and there was someone in there ahead of me. And the issue was, apparently she did not know anything about her husband filing taxes. She didn't know when, you know, she didn't know take care of anything like that. And now she finds that she's in some serious trouble because she hadn't filed her taxes for a while. So you can understand that it's so important now, guys, for you to really, really, really pay attention to it. It should, as you say, as a group, it should be, you should discuss it, and you should really, and sometimes it's our fault because we're not interested. As I said, I wasn't interested. So even when he was explaining to me these things, because he did, I was not really interested. It was like I was here. It was like I just stood there, but I wasn't really paying attention, that kind of thing, right? Because I didn't like anything to do with that kind of stuff. But now I've learned you need, I mean, I know that if I were to go into another relationship, I'm going to be really much more on top of everything that happens, right? So, Paulette, you want to share anything that you may have?
Tell me the question. What was the question again? I'm sorry, my ADD.
What have you learned from your experience, with maybe your spouse's passing? Maybe that might be more relevant, or even your mother's passing, but because you had to do stuff with her. Perhaps, you may have learned that you want to let other people who are watching us, what did you learn from this that you could help, share with them that might help them?
Also help?
Yeah.
What I can think of is the religious aspect, for me, it's a comfort knowing that they're gone and I'm hoping to see them again.
Yes.
So to me, the loss is not permanent.
Right.
And that helped me cope. And, I know someday I'm going to see them again.
Right.
So
So
it's
is that
it's comforting. When I miss them a lot, when I miss my mother, sometimes I find myself smiling, because, because actually going to see them again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Spiritual.
yeah, yeah. So for those of in the audience that may have that same similar belief system, and they know that God is is there, and that these loved ones who have passed to go on to be with the Lord, then that the fact that you are going to see them again, that expectation of seeing them again, really kind of serves to kind of help to kind of temper the pain that you're going
Yeah,
through,
comfort.
yeah, and more comforting. Awesome. So Joan.
And for me, it's entirely different. And this is how divorce ends up in the category of a loss that you actually grieve.
Right.
One thing I want people to know is that they need to give themselves permission to grieve.
Yeah.
The person has not died, and so it makes it even harder in the sense that, and people may think she's saying divorce is harder than dealing with death. Well, the issue here is the person hasn't died. You can't mourn the loss of this person because they didn't die. And yet you feel like you're experiencing a death.
Right.
And what makes it harder, I repeat, the person hasn't died. You've not had a chance to grieve them. It's not like you went through the whole process of your friends and your family coming around and bringing you casseroles and just, crying with you or whatever, because the person is still alive.
Right. And so,
but that grief is still very raw. You still go through the Kubler-Ross stuff. You get angry because why? How dare he? How dare she? I mean, what did I do so wrong? And it's worse when you don't even know, the person tells you, oh, it wasn't you, but okay, so what was it? And you have no clue. So give yourself permission to grieve. Give yourself your permission to go through all the different steps and stages. You may not go through all of them as in a death. However, you will go through some of these things. And you may think, okay, I'm not depressed anymore. I'm going to be fine now. And boom, the anger comes back because something happens that triggers the memory, or some memory comes up and you think, oh man, he's not here. Or you see, like for me, for a long time, I would see a couple on TV and an older couple, and I'm like, getting angry again, because that was supposed to be me. I did not get married to divorce.
yeah.
For me, till death do us part meant till death. Maybe I kill you, but So give yourself permission to go through the grieving process. It is real. You don't have a grave that you can go to and put flowers, but it's still real and very raw. And for me, after, like I said, I met him when I was like 16, turned 17. We started dating officially, and we were married for 33 years, I think. So add all that up. That's a whole lot of years to live with somebody.
As you said, it was longer. You were with him longer than you were with your parent.
Right. And it takes an emotional toll on you.
Yeah.
It really, really does. And then you start to think, oh, he's moved on with his life. He's married again, has a house, and you're living with your kids.
So Joan, it seems like it's hard to bring closure to
It's not as easy. It's not as easy as people think.
Because you said Yeah, because you said he didn't, he said it wasn't you and you don't know why. So it's so
Yes,
hard to bring closure to something where you have no knowledge.
correct,
Mhm.
correct. Because you just don't know what happened. You still keep asking God,
Yeah.
what happened? You know, what went wrong? You know, marriage is never perfect,
No,
never perfect. And anybody who tells you it is, something wrong with them. They cheating or something, and you know, whatever. But you still don't expect to be here. Still don't expect this to be your reality,
Right.
you know? So, and you need to not isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Try to stay in contact with people. However, sometimes family, friends don't want to take sides, so they don't
Right.
call you. They don't do anything with you. And so that loneliness, even when we're with people, that loneliness can be so hard because that's not the person that those other people can't fill the void
Yeah.
of a spouse. And I guess that's the same for death.
Yeah.
You know, I have not experienced that, but I'm assuming that it might be the same. You might struggle to sleep. You might sleep too much, which is another sign of depression, or you might not be able to sleep at all. Speak to your doctor, talk to your doctor about that. If you need a therapist, find a therapist. If you don't want to see a therapist, find somebody who is really trustworthy that you can talk to, that will sit with you in your pain and not try to tell you, oh, it's better for you anyway. You should just move on. Find yourself somebody better.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear that right now. I need you to be sitting with me in my pain, being there with me when I'm angry, because it's still a loss.
right.
Yeah.
It's still
Absolutely.
a loss.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Hey, Joan, you do know your self-worth, right? And
Oh,
I
yeah.
know, you know, your heart, and it's something that takes us a while to fall in love, just like it takes us a while to fall out of love. You know, you're just going through it. We don't expect you to fall out of love just like that. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, okay? As long as you stay true to yourself, be strong, and yeah, go through. When you feel like cursing him and crying, do that. It's a cycle you're gonna go through. But baby, when you look back and realize, man, I lost sleep over this, you will go, but you have to go through it. And only
That's the
you
point.
can go through it. And when you're done going through it, you're done. But people, you know, you will have to go through it. And there's no short time or long time or whatnot. You will be done going through it when you're done going through with it. But just so you know, you're a beautiful lady, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. And when your heart
Absolutely.
is say, I'm done, I'm tired, it's you're gonna wake up and be like, whew, okay, I'm done with that. Let me start with another chapter. Trust me.
Well,
Been there.
my other chapter came by going back to school and getting my PhD. So there's that. But as I said, you go through all the steps, all the stages as you would if the person had died, but you're more angry because that person has not died. That person chose.
I get it.
Right.
Right?
It
So
is
that's
a
a
divorce.
major difference. You
Yeah,
chose
a
to
divorce
leave.
feels
What happened?
I don't know what happened to your stuff.
okay.
There's
Okay.
there's a sign that looks like an
A
outlet
USB.
plugged in or something like that.
Don't know, didn't touch
I can hear
anything.
you.
Ask your
EOS webcam unity. EOS webcam
utility.
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 Ask your son
Rick,
to help you. Okay, so
Rick,
in the meantime, we'll go to something else. If you ladies could think of
I'm off screen. They can hear me, but I'm
I
just
can hear you.
off screen.
we
We
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
We can hear
I
you.
haven't touched anything.
So Joan, mute your thing. So in the meantime, what we can do is I want to discuss how it is if there's something that you may have done differently while they were alive. Is there something that you can think of that you may have done differently while your loved ones were alive?
I think you never really,
You said
you-
about your learning about that thing. You did say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Anything else?
No, no.
No? Paulette?
I'm laughing because in the case of my husband, I think I would be less miserable because I would, well, my initials are PMS, and
I like that.
those are my initials. So I used to act out my initials. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. So
Funny.
I used to get so uptight over little things, and he was so patient. And when I think I'm miserable, he never reacted to it. And in his British accent, he used to say, "Do you know what's good about us, honey?" I said, "What?" "We never get in a row or anything." And I said, "We didn't." So I think after he was gone, I said, "Gosh, I should have been kinder." But his perception was that I was good enough. So, but I
Oh,
think I would have been a little more patient. Yeah.
So, I mean, the things that, Joan, I can't see you, by the way. So the things that you would do is really kind of be more, a kind of, and probably, as you said, don't sweat the small stuff, right? I mean, you probably, some things got blown out of proportion. That wasn't that big.
Yeah, it was not that,
Yeah.
important,
It's,
just,
it's I mean, isn't it funny how sometimes in hindsight we always see these things, and that usually is what happens. In hindsight, we have a tendency to see the things that happened, and what we could have done differently to make their lives better, or even as a couple or whatever it is, our lives better. So let me see if Joan can you hear me, Joan? Joan, can you hear? I can't hear you.
1 second.
Okay.
I can hear her.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. I get that. For me, it was more
What question are you answering, Joan?
where anything you could have done differently
Gotcha. All right.
before the loss.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not sure because I'm of course nobody's perfect, but I did quite a bit to keep the marriage going, spicy, not boring. So I'm not too sure what else I could have done differently. But something I want to talk about that we haven't touched on regarding divorce, it's not just the loss of a marriage, it's a loss of what was supposed to be, and also many times the loss of friendships or a community that you were a part of. My ex was a pastor. So I
Jonah's face. So funny.
So my loss wasn't just the marriage, but the community of pastors and pastors' wives that I was a part of. I didn't feel in the know anymore, because that was all gone now.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me.
So you were mourning not only the loss of a spouse, but also the loss of the friendships you had. And believe me, that is what usually happens in a divorce. The thing happened to me. People no longer knew how to approach me.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't know. It's almost that in approaching me or being friends with me, they were being think they're
disloyal.
Yeah. The other person. They didn't know what to do, and I had to come to terms with that fact that there were some people that I actually just lost because they did not know what to do and how to react to me. So they took sides. That's what they did. Right? So they would take a side with my ex. And I mean, so I was no longer in that group or, in that thing. And so they took sides. And I had to just learn that this is what happens. And you learn to see these things and you learn to accept them and you learn to move on. you know. So therefore, the fact is that we just have to understand that these are things that happens in different scenarios, whether it be with it's different for death, because what happens with death is that people come around you and they
That's right.
comfort you, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you have
Mhm.
people. It's so divorce and
The-
death is different in that
Mhm.
specific area. In the death, everybody's, you know, they're sorry for you, pretty much.
Mhm.
Consolence,
They're
yeah,
sorry for you, and they feel
condolences.
kind of come and
Mhm.
kind of just, you know, enfold you, and a lot of people will be there to help you. But with a divorce, everybody distances themselves from you,
Mhm.
feel more alone than you've ever felt, because all these
Yes.
people who was now friends with the couple now chose sides, and now you are like by yourself, and you're now, you know, you have to form a new group of friends, and maybe a few friends had the guts to stick it to still be both, right? And didn't care about the fact that we were divorced. But that is what the difference is with a divorce, when you suffer, you know, when you go through
Mhm.
the experience of divorce versus a death. So
Right. Right.
what are some of the ways that allow you to go through these different losses that you've gone through? What are is, you know, do you have some things that you do, or maybe something that you, the way that you change your thinking, or what was some of the, what are some of the ways that help you to kind of go through, to just be able to go through it, just to go through it? What are some of the ways that helps you?
I can answer that.
Mhm.
Okay, so with my dad, when he passed, and with Jeff, to do things for other people, you know, it's like, don't focus on myself.
Yes.
I don't want to even deal with me. I'm just going to do something different and like not worry about my troubles. Do something for somebody else, whether I read, whether I do jigsaw puzzle, whether I join the organization with the American Heart Walk. That was a big thing that I was doing for my dad to get my mind off of him dying.
Right.
You know, that started back in 2015 to be the team captain, to just do something for other people, to go like the assistant living facility where he was. I would go there and see what, you know, what they need. If someone's having a birthday party or whatnot, I'll drop off something. But to do something for somebody else, you know, and not focus about what's going on with me, because
It's so,
that helped me a lot.
so
You
that
know,
allows you to take the focus of your pain.
yeah.
Also, when you help people, it also gives you a sense of satisfaction that you are now helping others, and so, you know, that kind of just help you to kind of go forward. And you also have, you're also your focus is more on others than what's going on with you,
I don't want to
than what's
deal with
going
the
on.
woe with Tronia. I want to see what somebody that got some other issues. Okay, mine,
And
okay, it's death. They're gone. I'm done with him. He's dead. I love him. He knew I love him. But now I'm going to do another chapter and try to help somebody and try to make a difference to fill in that spot of my hurting. You
right,
know,
right.
that's for me.
Shania, I agree with you. Yeah, because I, you know, myself, I used to help other people, but also I would involve myself in some kind of activity that I love. Lately was salsa, and you know, I would go to the practices and you go to the shows, and it really took my mind off of grieving. In one sense, though, I don't know if it delays it,
Mhm.
I
because
was going
others
to
might
ask, I was going
say
to ask
that
that follow up.
you
I was,
know, slow down a bit, you know, you need to grieve. I didn't think I need to, because I didn't see any delayed grieving,
yeah.
but others were concerned about
Yes,
that.
yes. And I want to say something about that, because it's the same thing. When Tronia spoke, I wanted to say, and you've come to that realization, Paulette. I wanted to say that sometimes we just have to sit with it. Take
Mhm.
time out to sit with it, because what we do, what we have the tendency to do, and I remember the same thing happening to me when I was going through my divorce. I'll tell you a story. I was having some you know, when you're sleeping and you could almost hear your blood vessels in your head, you
Mhm.
hear it pumping, right? I said, this isn't that, I don't think this is normal. Let me go to the doctor, right? And this was when, I mean, when I went through my divorce, I did every single, I did 2 degrees. I did my, so this is a way of almost like, this was a way I was preparing myself for the divorce afterwards so I could maintain myself, one. But I think it also served to take away the focus from what the pain I was feeling and as I was going through the divorce. And so it was all 4 I mean, I did my undergrad degree. I started my undergrad degree when I was going through my divorce, and then I did my master's right after that. So all of those took 4 years, right? Because I mean, I was just going full time and over full time, right? I was just focused on that, and I was working, right? So you can tell you see, I was kind of hiding from the pain of the divorce, right? Because I did not want to focus on what was happening. I did what I needed to do when I needed to do it, and then every other minute of my day was taken up with other things. So I did not have to focus on it. But God has a plan. And yes, He said, face this thing that's happening to you. And so I feel all these little things going on in my head. And I went to the doctor. And you know how they put you in that little room to sit down while you wait. Even though you're waiting outside already, they put you in this room for another half an hour again. Oh, so no, finally, in this room, I'm in this room and I had nothing else to do but think. I had to face myself. And I started one piece of bawling, girls. I couldn't stop. I could not. It was like the floodgates opened, right? Because I was finally forced to sit with myself and not have any distractions. The floodgate opened, and the man came in. I mean, he wasn't there for like half an hour. All of a sudden, as I start bawling, there he comes. So what is going on with you? I said, oh, nothing. Oh, nothing. He goes, do you think, I don't know if this could be nothing. You're crying. You're like out of control crying. I said, well, if you consider divorce nothing. That's what I said, just like that. And he goes, no, well, if you consider going through a divorce as something, that's what's happening. Just like that, just I'm trying to kind of like, like it's not anything, right? Yeah. And he says, well, our divorce is very disturbing. It is something, and it was, and I realized that it was the first time that I was forced, because I didn't take the time. I was going to the gym. When I was not doing everything else, I was going to the gym. So I came home and I just slept. And wake up again to work, to school, to gym, and I was just keeping myself busy. So I say all that to say, Tronia, and with Paulette, and I think Paulette came to that realization that sometimes we have to just sit and bawl. I mean, literally cry, that ugly cry, that ugly cry when you cry that you don't even care what the hell you look like. Snot coming out of your nose and tears rolling down. Just sit. You have to sometimes to heal. And I think that's what has allowed me to heal and move forward, is that I just sat with myself. After that, I realized that I was really in pain and I wasn't paying any attention. I wasn't grieving. I was pretending like it wasn't happening, right? I was pretending like it wasn't happening, but it is happening. It's real. And, all the things that you have to do is reminding you that it's real. You have to go to court. You have to do this. You have to do that, right? It's reminding you, but you're trying to dismiss it. And you have to just sit down with yourself and one day just go through all the pain. You have to let it, it's almost like you have to allow it to wash over you.
I'm going to go get a different battery cord.
Yeah.
I have to get a different cord.
All right. It's like you just have to allow it to just wash over you and go through. Cry, lock up in your room, cry, cuss God. Let me tell you, He knows you're gonna cuss Him before you even do it, right? And God is not easily disturbed by our cussing, because I cry and I say, why? I do, seriously, I do that, right? And I said, God, but then God has a plan, and He has a plan, and you have to always really believe that He knows what's best for you. And
because I'm sorry, if you don't deal with it emotionally, it will come out physically. Exactly. In physical symptoms, whether headaches. Some people get gastrointestinal problems.
Yes. Yes.
It will show up in some kind of physical way.
Yes, it definitely does.
Well, for me, the divorce process wasn't the finality, as in papers are signed, lawyers have been gotten, all that thing. I found out he was cheating on me. I was going through the pain of that. I was going through the pain of him not wanting to talk about it. And me being a talker, plus a trained therapist, because I did my master's in family therapy prior to the PhD. And so for me, it was crazy making, because I was going through stuff before the actual divorce was filed, and he filed,
Right.
not me. So when I was reading, different articles in preparation for this, some of the articles talked about specifically when you don't want the divorce,
Right.
when you didn't choose to be divorced, how much more impactful it is than if you're the one who filed. And even if you filed, it's still impactful. But when you're the one left behind, it does make it that much harder. And then you think to yourself, I'm left behind, but he didn't die. So I'm saying all of this and personalizing it, but all the articles I've read talk about that as well. When you're the person that's left behind, it's hard. Then on top of it, you are, for me anyway, so I was going through this phase where everything was hitting the fan, and I'm finding out more and more and more, and yet I wasn't the one wanting the divorce, but I wasn't getting any answers. And so you talked just now about developing illnesses, physical illnesses. I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, with multinodal thyroid disease, with fibromyalgia. Most of these things are autoimmune issues.
Right.
So I got diagnosed with all of that, because even though I'm a talker, I tend to stuff things. Oh, and I gained a ton of weight because I was working in a job I hated, and I would stuff my lab coat pockets with candy when I'd go to these meetings, and that's how I started drinking coffee. So I would have a cup of coffee and I'd have all the chocolates and stuff, because I'm a chocoholic anyway, in my pockets. So it was a longer process. A friend of mine went through the same thing as far as the infidelity and stuff like that. But she found out today, she filed tomorrow. So, and she's remarried. So it differs based on what you had to go through that led up to this. And then, so you're mourning from that time, you're getting all these physical ailments, and then the divorce happens and it starts all over again as far as the grief process. But allowing yourself to go through the process is what's going to help you to move on. You can't skip it. You just can't skip it like you.
Sonia.
Did other people know about the infidelity? Because I have a relative who went through that with her husband, and it was going on with someone in the church. He was a counselor for the church, and it was going on for a couple of years, and other people knew about it, and yet no one thought to tell her.
Yeah.
I don't think any of my friends knew about it.
So Joan.
Yes.
Let's not go into the depth of
Oh,
that
sorry.
right now. But what we need to do is we have to realize that there are so many different types of losses, and different losses cause different types of pain, right? And we all handle it differently. And so what I'm going to close off with really is that, there are different losses. There are losses of jobs.
Yes.
Still go through that pain, especially when it's unexpected. There are losses of, as we mentioned before, your health. Because
Right.
you can't do certain things you used to do. You can't maybe drive
Right.
and get up and do whatever you need to do. And these are losses. And I really just want to tell my audience not to minimize the losses,
No.
even though they may not be death or divorce.
Mhm.
They are losses, and everybody is going to experience these losses in a different way. And as Joan was saying earlier, don't tell me what I should feel. Don't when somebody's going through their losses, don't tell them you don't know. Don't say, oh, I even if you had a loss like theirs, a husband leave or a wife left or died or whatever it might be, you do not understand this person's specific pain that they're going through.
Right.
And so everybody goes through a different pain. So I think at that moment that most people, all they really need for you to do is to know that you are there for them and you sit with them. And you don't have to say a single word because there's nothing you can really say
Mhm.
that's going to make a difference, right? There's nothing you can really say that's going to make a difference. Guys, I was coming over an hour. I'm over an hour. That's why I was kind of tying up stuff. So I want to really close off by thanking my guests, Tronia, Paulette, and Joan, for being vulnerable, coming here and being vulnerable to share their experience of their losses in their lives and how they kind of have dealt with these losses. So, guys, please, if you've learned something or if something touched you about this segment, this Zoom segment, please like and share and also subscribe to my channel because I try to do these at least once or twice a month. And also I have other things on my channel that you can view as well. So as soon as something is up and click that notification bell so that if things, when I upload something new that you'll be notified of it. And I really appreciate you watching my segment. And thanks guys. Thanks for you just being here and sharing your time and your experiences with my audience. So guys, I'm going to sign off now. This is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor and your leverage for change. Take care of yourselves out there. Don't get caught.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.